Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to get into some Raiders coaching news, some bad news if I'm being honest with y'all. We got a Daniel Jones trade idea. Bleacher Report decided to throw out an idea where the Raiders try to get Daniel Jones. I'll give you my 2 cents on that. There's a reason why I'm wearing my Carr jersey, by the way. And then wide receiver trade candidates. I'm going to be talking about the 5 big-name wide receivers that could be on the go this offseason. Let's first start here with the Raiders coaching news. One of my favorite coaches that the Raiders have had since my time here at the Raiders Report has been Rod Marinelli, and unfortunately / fortunately for him, he is planning to retire. The reason why I'm upset is because he's a very well-respected offensive line coach. When you hear guys like Max Crosby hype him up the way that you do, it's going to be a loss for the team. But I'm also excited for Marinelli because he's 72 years old. He's been coaching since 1973 and started coaching in the NFL since 1996. So all I want you guys to do, show some love to Marinelli. Type RM down in the comments section here on this YouTube video. He's done a lot of good. I can go back to that 2019 season when the Raiders had literally only, 13 sacks? It might have been 2018. Then you had Buckner, who I liked Buckner a lot. I thought he did a good job. And then Marinelli came in, was a big-time reason why I think some of these guys like Max Crosby did grow into the rules that they did. But show some love to Marinelli. Go ahead and type RM. Now, my job here is to go out and find crazy articles, stories, and give my 2 cents on them. Bleacher Report, you all are going to take the cake today because I've had so many DMs about this article, about these trade ideas, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to throw it in today's show. So essentially what Bleacher Report did was they wrote an article about Raiders' top hypothetical trade packages for Derek Carr. I'm on here wearing my Carr jersey simply to tell you that I do not see any scenario, I guess I shouldn't say any, I do not see a scenario where the Raiders decide to move on from DC. The only 3 quarterbacks that the Raiders would trade for, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson. Those are the only 3 quarterbacks I would trade for because those are the only 3 guys you can legitimately get that would be an upgrade. What was really shocking to me is that Bleacher Report was like, all right, I'm going to take all my stupid pills today and say, let's go out and let's get Daniel Jones for Las Vegas. I get it. This guy was a former number 6 overall pick. He's a tall quarterback, might have a good arm, but he's got just as much of a fumbling issue, if not a worse fumbling issue than DC. Last season, 2,428 yards, 7 INTs, 10 touchdowns. So here was the trade idea that Bleacher Report decided to do. Raiders get Daniel Jones and 2022 first-round pick. The number 5 overall pick does carry a lot of value. And then the 2023 second-round pick. The reason why I absolutely hate this trade is because the quarterback position is obviously the most important position on the football field. Why am I going to downgrade? Not only downgrade, why would I go ahead and trade away Derek Carr, who I believe is worth 2 first-round picks, for only 1 first-round pick? I get it's the number 5 overall pick, but Daniel Jones, to me, I don't want Daniel Jones anywhere near me. When I did my original draft rankings, I had Jones as a 3rd-round pick. So essentially, you're telling me I get a 3rd-round pick quarterback who was drafted a few years ago for a 1st and a 2nd. I'm sorry. I'm good on this. So who wins this trade, y'all? Go down in the comments section and let me know what y'all are thinking. If you were to tell me, all right, you get 2 first-round picks in Daniel Jones, then I'm a little bit more interested, though I do not see the Giants giving us their 5th and 7th round pick. To be honest, if it was the 5th and 7th round pick this season for Derek Carr, I might think about that a little bit more heavily. But LV or NYG, who wins this trade? You can probably guess the way that I'm going to go with this. The Giants win this deal because not only do they get Derek Carr, they also get to keep their number 7 overall draft pick and continue to build. The Raiders essentially get a project in Daniel Jones and a dude who, I'm sorry, he will never be a good NFL quarterback. So for that reason, I do not want him because he stinks. And if you've watched a lot of our Chat Sports content before, you'll know that I've never been a big fan of Daniel Jones. You'll know that I've never thought that he's been a good quarterback, and I understand that all these companies out here, they want to try to make Derek Carr trades. And again, I know I already said it, Daniel Jones, he stinks, guys. But At the end of the day, my job as a Raiders Report host is to find these trades and give you guys my honest opinion. Now, the trade that they did for Aaron Rodgers, that one I could get behind. They also did one for the Washington football team, which was 2 first-round picks, and then I believe it was a second or a third-round pick for DC. That's a trade I would be interested in. But in the trade where I only get 1 first-round pick and Daniel Jones, sorry, y'all, I'm good on that. Entering the offseason, one of the biggest needs for Las Vegas is trying to find DC a true number 1 wide receiver. You know you have Hunter Renfrow, who's going to have a hell of a time in the slot this season. I can't wait to see what Josh McDaniels can cook up for Hunter Renfrow. Bryan Edwards as your wide receiver 2. Personally, I would feel a little bit more confident if Edwards was our wide receiver 3. Zay Jones is a free agent. Deshaun Jackson is a free agent. The Raiders realistically need to go out and add 2 wide receivers this offseason. So what I decided to do is, okay, I've talked about free agents before on this show. I've also gone ahead and I've talked about some wide receivers in the draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down 5 big-name wide receivers that are realistic chances of getting traded this offseason, and then I'm going to go ahead and rank them of which ones I like the most. Before I get into some of those, today's show is presented by our awesome sportsbook partner, BetUS. If you want to go ahead and bet on the Super Bowl, go to chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125. That gets you 125% deposit bonus, which means if you put down $100, you're actually going to get $125 for free to bet with. It is by far the best damn deal on the internet. Imagine even putting down $500, get $625 for free to bet with. On top of that, we got Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs jerseys available for first-time BetUS users. So if you go ahead and go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Raiders125. Guess what? We're also going to throw in a free Raiders jersey. Yes, I said free. Email me your account number at jersey@chatsports.com. You got Renfrow, Jacobs, Waller. Those are the 3 jerseys I have in stock. And if you're a first-time BetUS user, email me, jersey@chatsports.com for the details in case you're wondering. The jersey I have on right now is the exact same thing. It's Nike. It's high quality. Sorry for showing you my belly button. I just want to show you that these guys, they're legit NFL jerseys. So as promised now, let's get into some wide receiver trade candidates. The first guy I'm going to talk about is Michael Thomas. At one point, I would have said Thomas is a top 5 wide receiver. He did not play last season. He was on the PUP list back in 2020. I believe he had 40 catches for 438 yards, no touchdowns. The good Michael Thomas, you got to go all the way back to 2019 when he broke the NFL single-season reception record of 149 grabs, beating Marvin Harrison's record. He's more of a bigger one receiver in the slot, which I do think would fit well with something like Derek Carr likes to do. Though, if you're going to go out and get Thomas, you better be ready to pay him because he's making about $20 million a year. And if I'm the Saints, I would want at least a first-round pick for Thomas. Let's go to the next guy on my list here. It's Calvin Ridley, the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver. He had some ups and downs this past season. Why? Apparently his mental health wasn't in the right spot. He had 31 grabs for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the former first-round pick out of Alabama in the 2018 draft, he's only 27 years old. I really like his skill set. Back in 2020, he had over 1,300 yards. This kid would be a really good fit, and you'd have to probably give up a second, maybe a third-round pick, though the Falcons owner did come out today and said that they want Ridley back, but it could be up to Ridley. At number 3, this is probably a bigger name that a lot of people are going to be like, wow, really, DK Metcalf? Yes. Do not be surprised whatsoever if the Seattle Seahawks just start trying to sell players. Why? They have no first-round picks this year. Their offensive line is an absolute joke. They do have some salary cap space, but also, if they're going to move on from Russell Wilson, maybe it's their time to do a full-on rebuild. DK Metcalf at 6'4", 235 pounds. He was one of my favorite wide receivers when he first came out of Ole Miss. Sure, he didn't have the best combine in terms of being able to run a 3-cone drill, but watch this guy on the football field. He's an absolute athletic specimen. He had 75 grabs for 967 yards, 12 touchdowns last year, 22 total touchdowns the past 2 seasons. Coming in, and this is a name that y'all are familiar with, it's Amari Cooper. I was talking to Tom Downey, host of the Dallas Cowboys Report, and I was like, Tom, I'm seeing these rumors out there that the Cowboys could actually move on from Amari, and Tom said, yeah, absolutely. In fact, don't be surprised if the Cowboys might even decide to cut Cooper outright. He had 68 catches last season, 865 yards, 8 touchdowns. I understand that Cooper plays in games, but you guys know as well as I do, he's not afraid to take a few plays off. He's always battling injuries, and he can be a little bit soft at times. Now, before I give you the last name on my wide receiver trade candidates list, I do want to tell y'all, make sure you stay up to date on news, rumors, everything going on around the silver and black by giving me a follow on Instagram. Also, for those of you that care about my personal life, I am getting a tattoo tomorrow, so if you want to see what my tattoo is, you can hit me up on IG at Mitchell Renz 365. The last thing coming on here, last wide receiver, is Brandin Cooks. I absolutely love Brandin Cooks, wide receiver for the Houston Texans. Unfortunately, he's been stuck in Houston, but he's also not afraid to get traded. He's already been traded 3 times in his career. Last season, 90 grabs for 1,037 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's only 28 years old, which is kind of weird to say because I'm like, yeah, he's getting up there in age, but I'm like, shit, he's same age as me. So Brandin Cooks coming in there. So out of those 5 receivers that I just went ahead and brought up, if you could only trade for one, and I know I didn't put Devontae Adams in this list, even though I'm starting to believe that he's going to be a trade or tag and trade candidate with the Green Bay Packers. But if you could only trade for one guy on screen, would you trade for DK Metcalf, type 1, Brandin Cooks, type 2, Calvin Ridley, type 3, Michael Thomas, type 4, Amari Cooper, type 5? Here's how I would rank them. If you could tell me right now, all right, Mitch, based on overall talent and how much draft capital plus age I'd have to give up, this is how I would rank it. DK Metcalf would be my number 1 dude. Why? The Raiders need a true number 1 receiver. He's only 24 years old. You probably would have to give up a first-round pick for him. I think DK Metcalf, the 22 overall pick, would be worth it. Brandin Cooks, I have him at number 2 because I believe that you could get him for a 3rd-round pick. He's also been with Josh McDaniels before, and Cooks has been one hell of a receiver, a lot of speed. Calvin Ridley coming in at number 3 over Thomas simply because of the injuries. And Ridley, to me, would probably go for a 2nd-round pick where Thomas would go for a 1. And then at number 5 is Amari Cooper. Why? I do not want Amari Cooper for the same reasons why I don't want Antonio Brown, for the same reasons why I do not want Trent Brown. They didn't want to be here before. They didn't give me a lot of effort, and I'm sorry, but they're soft. If you made it this far in the video, remember to share it on Twitter. Make sure you share it on Instagram. It's the only way you can continue to grow this bad boy. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you go ahead and smash that sub button.